Hi everyone and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I'm your host Jessica King and I just wanted to thank you quickly for joining us today. We are in the middle of November, which is Diabetes Awareness Month. With the holidays approaching, dieting isn't on the top of everyone's list, but it is especially important this time of year and to diabetics. Today's speaker, registered dietitian Ronda Elsenbrook, will go over how to maintain healthy habits for diabetics. Here's a little more info on today's speaker. Rhonda is a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator at Kelsey-Seybold. She practices at two Kelsey-Seybold locations, the Meyerland Plaza and the Fort Bend Medical and Diagnostic Center. And she joined Kelsey-Seybold in October of 2009, which means you just recently celebrated your 7th year anniversary with Kelsey. So congrats. Yes. Don't forget, we'll be taking any questions you have at the end of the webinar. If a question happens to pop up, just type it into your question box and we will do our best to address it at the end of the presentation. And now I'll hand it over to you.
Well, thanks for having me today. Before we get started on our healthy habits, just a quick overview about diabetes. Basically, there's two main types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is when the body does not make insulin, and insulin is that carrier. It's how we transport our sugar fuel from the foods that we eat and get them into the cells that actually can use the fuel or store it. So if you're a type 1 diabetic, your body does not make any insulin, so you have to take insulin in order to utilize the food. For people with type 2 diabetes, your body may make insulin but just not enough, or there's some miscommunication in how the insulin is being used. And so you may need additional medications or potentially also take insulin to be able to get the sugar out of the bloodstream into those cells. So there's many factors that can play a role with lifestyle for both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. There's three big habits that we want to focus on, and it's going to encompass basically the foods that you're eating a balanced diet. We want people to get moving every day. Our lifestyles are a little too sedentary. We've got just too many modern conveniences and we don't get as many steps as we used to. So it's important to move every single day. And then of course the third thing is to visit your doctor at regular intervals, and also utilizing the diabetes team, which makes up the doctor as well as the certified diabetes educator and your dietitian. So when we talk about eating balanced, there's really no food that you cannot eat. All foods can be a part of a healthy diet. It's a matter of portion control and how you put foods together. So when we look at the different foods from a fuel standpoint, how is your body going to utilize these foods? We're looking at kind of the macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So from a fuel standpoint, we want to be including a protein source with every meal and snack. And the purpose of this is because protein foods keep you fuller longer. It's going to allow you to get from meal to meal without being hungry. And what it's doing inside your body is actually stabilizing that blood sugar. It keeps your blood sugar from going up too high, and it also keeps it from dropping too quickly. Vegetables are very important in the diet. It's something that I think a lot of us don't get enough of on a daily basis. We may love vegetables, but if you're hungry, those are not necessarily the things that you're thinking about getting in. So it's important to just strive for lots of color, types of vegetables. You can do raw vegetables for snacks or salads as part of your meal, or incorporating grilled, roasted, or steamed vegetables and putting those in as many meals and snacks as you can get. Carbohydrates are what we talk about most, especially with diabetes, because carbohydrates are the body's sugar fuel. And this is where we specifically want to try to portion control. The body can't really tell what kind of carbohydrate you're eating. From a nutrition standpoint, it can. Obviously, whole grain foods are going to give your body a lot more nutrition, fiber, vitamins, and minerals than things that are refined. But from that sugar fuel standpoint, any of those foods can work as long as you portion and balance. So different types of carbohydrates. All grains are carbohydrates. So all forms of cereal, oatmeal, any type of bread product, including tortillas and biscuits and rolls, rice and pasta, even kind of those healthy grains that you're hearing about like quinoa still contain carbohydrate. They're still going to turn into sugar in the body. When we talk about vegetables, the ones that are a little starchier that are going to raise your blood sugar would be in the potato family, whether it's a white potato or sweet potato, your corn and green peas. Those things are, we may call them vegetables, but they're not that free-for-all thing we're trying to fill up half our plate with. These are things we're going to count as carbohydrate. All fruit. Fruit is healthy. You hear people talking about eating more fruits and vegetables, but fruit does contain nature's sugar, and so it is going to, have that potential to raise blood sugar, as well as fruit juices. And the juices are going to raise the blood sugar much faster because we don't have that fiber component. So the body's not having to work to break down the fiber to get to that sugar. So those juices are things we use to try to treat low blood sugar, but those aren't things that we're going to want to do on a regular basis. A lot of people think of milk and yogurt as protein sources, and they do contain protein, but they also contain sugar. And so they can elevate your blood sugar. And as far as milk substitutes go, soy milk has as much sugar as cow milk. Desserts. We are getting into holiday season, and desserts are a part of our celebrations with our holidays, and they're going to be that sugar fuel just like any other form of carbohydrate. So it's not that if you have diabetes you can't eat sweets. You can. You just want to count it as part of your carbohydrates, and you might need to skip or back off some of the other starch or grain at that meal if you're going to include a dessert. So when it comes to fruit, like I said, fruit is healthy for you. It's loaded with fiber and vitamins and minerals and enzymes, which are good for digestion. But because they do contain that natural sugar, in order to safely incorporate them into your diet, you want to always balance them with a source of protein, maybe some type of nuts, cheese, nut butters, or incorporate with a meal where you might have some eggs or meat. And as far as the best choices, all fresh fruit is fine. If it's not in season, frozen fruit might be a better option. And then even though they're a little bit more processed, you can do the little cups of fruit or cans of fruit as long as it doesn't have the heavy syrup or added sugars, just packed in water or natural juices. Protein is something that we want to always be incorporating into our meals and snacks, and so it's something that you want to try to keep variety with so that you don't get bored, but adjust your portion of protein based on how hungry you are. So if you're really hungry, go for a little bit larger amount of your different meats, or have that extra egg, and that's going to keep you fuller than trying to increase those grains and carbohydrates. So the best choices for your protein are things that are just not processed. So if you can imagine these foods coming, off that animal, minimally messed with, your lean beefs, your poultry, those are good choices. Fish is a good choice of any kind, or shellfish. Your pork sometimes gets a bad rap because people associate it with processed pork, such as sausage and bacon, but lean pork chops, pork tenderloin, pork roast, all of these are excellent options. Eggs are something a lot of times people were afraid of for a while, but eggs are full of good nutrients. They've got a very high quality source of protein, and those yolks, even though they have cholesterol, those don't turn into cholesterol in the body. So it's going to just pass on through, and they're a good source of vitamin D and E. Cheese is also something that can be a nice portable snack, or even with cottage cheese, having it mixed with some sweeter fruit for a breakfast option or a very light lunch. That's a good complement with your fruits. We mentioned yogurt with milk before as a carbohydrate. The Greek style of yogurt has a little bit less liquid to it. It's a little bit thicker, and that means it's going to have a higher protein intake. So if you like that style of yogurt, that might give you a little more fullness and help balance out those blood sugars a little bit better. All nuts, any kind of nuts, are healthy for you. They've got good fiber, they've got healthy fats, and they're again a nice portable source of protein. Peanut butter used to be the only thing that was widely available, but now you can get almond butter and cashew butter, sunflower seed butter. There's all different kinds available at all the grocery stores now. So if you're looking for something to add to that banana or apple slices, that might be a nice complement. Beans and dried peas and lentils contain carbohydrate, but they also have a nice source of protein, and they're high in fiber. So those can also be used for a protein source if you're not a big meat eater. And then tofu or any of the soy vegetarian products can be another option for protein sources. So when it comes to beverages, what we want to try to do is get water as your main source of hydration. You want to always be seeking out water throughout the day to use that to keep the body well hydrated. It will help keep those blood sugar levels under good control, basically by diluting what's in your bloodstream. Aside from water, everything else should not contain sugar. So any of the 0-calorie, there's a few lemonades and products out that are extremely low in calorie. They have very minimal sugars in there. Those would be good options. Tea and coffee are perfectly fine as a beverage, but you want to make sure that you're doing unsweetened or not adding actual sugar to them. Diet soda or zero is an option as well. And then looking for a milk substitute, the almond milk has a lot less sugar in it than your cow's milk and your soy milk. The big things though, liquid forms of sugar are going to spike your blood sugar very quickly, so we want to avoid all forms of regular soda, any kind of fruit drink, fruit punch, even that 100% freshly squeezed fruit juice is still got sugar in it and will still spike a blood sugar. The energy drinks that are out now, sweet tea, all of those things contain too much sugar, and they're not something we want you to be drinking. From an exercise standpoint, we want everybody to get moving a little bit more all throughout the day. So even if you're good about going to the gym, maybe first thing in the morning, but the rest of your day involves a lot of sitting, that's still not what we're looking for. We want to make sure that even if you do get that regular workout at the gym, that throughout the rest of the day you're breaking up the sitting. Some of the new pedometers and Fitbits that are out now are recommending about 250 steps every hour. And it really, if you started tracking it and thought about it, if you would just get up and change your scenery, take care of an errand, walk around the house or the office, you'll be able to get those 250 steps in every hour. So staying active will actually help control those blood sugars because it's going to make your body's insulin work more efficiently, and it's going to be able to keep the blood sugars lower while you're moving and exercising as well as several hours after that. So we all have heard about the benefits of exercise. On the screen you see all different things, from heart health, which affects lowers blood pressure, and it improves that cholesterol panel. It's going to actually help lower the bad LDL cholesterol and increase the good cholesterol, which provides protection. It's going to burn calories, and it helps you maintain your weight, or if you need to lose, it may help you burn that little bit of extra off. And it actually gives you more energy. I often hear people say that they just don't have the energy to exercise. They're just too tired. And it's one of those things where once you start, you actually get more energy. So if you'll just get up and start and do a few minutes, you'll find that you do better the rest of the day. Your body actually rests at a higher quality of sleep, a little deeper sleep, when you've been active throughout the day. So it can give you, even if you don't get enough hours of sleep, you'll be able to get good quality. It helps relieve stress. It helps improve our outlook, makes us feel better about things. And it's great for strengthening those muscles, keeping your balance, and keeping the joints loose with circulation. So the different types of activity that we're looking at is, as I mentioned, is general activity throughout the day, not sitting too much, but then above and beyond that, there's aerobic exercises, strength training, flexibility or stretching, and then balance exercises. When we talk about aerobic, that's your cardio exercise, the recommendation is about 30 minutes of more moderate, so a little bit uncomfortable to vigorous intensity 5 days a week, or about 150 minutes a week. So that can be going out for a very quick walk, getting on that stationary bike, or going and using an outdoor bike. You can turn on some music in your home and dance, or take a aerobics class or a Zumba class. Swimming or water aerobics are great for people that have maybe bad knees or just some joint discomfort, because it allows you to get that good heart pumping aerobic exercise without any wear and tear on your joints. Just sports like tennis, basketball, climbing stairs, hiking, all of these things are great exercises to do that can give you that little extra intensity. Even things like your heavier gardening, moving things around and really getting your heart rate up. That's what we're looking for. So if you haven't been doing anything for a while, don't go out and try to go and knock out 30 minutes or an hour at a time. Just try doing maybe 5 or 10 minutes several times throughout the day, and then increasing in that intensity or time as you get stronger and feel better. With strength training or resistance training, this is something that helps our body throughout the day. So when you're doing your aerobic exercise, you're actually burning calories and sugar at that moment, and you get a little bit of lingering effect. When we strengthen our muscles are like little powerhouses, and they are burning more fuel, which again is sugar, throughout the day, every day, even while we're sleeping. So it's important to maintain good muscle mass, and it also will help keep those bones strong. Once we get into late 30s, early 40s for the first time, that's when we're going to actually start losing muscle mass unless we're doing something to offset that. So you want to try to get in some type of strength training at least twice a week. You can do actual weight machines that they have at the gym, or free weights, or now you can have little resistance bands. You can do them in the office, at home, lifting weights that you probably already have around, such as canned goods, water bottles, things like that. That can replace those hand weights, and doing different exercises from that. You can use your own body weight and do things like push-ups and sit-ups, sitting against the wall, where you're sitting like you're in a chair but you're up against the wall. Do that for a couple minutes and you will feel those legs working. Taking some of the group cardio exercise classes incorporate strength training along with cardio, so you can knock those both out with one class. And then again, just things around the house. If you're having to lift and move and do those kind of heavier things, that's the same as your strength training. Flexibility is something that we also lose, just like those muscle mass, as we get older, and so it's something that you've got to work on to be able to stay loose and prevent injury. So what we're looking for is just easy stretching you can do before you wake up in the morning, anytime throughout the day, and just hold these gentle stretches. Try to relax and breathe into them, and hold them for 5 or 10 full breaths. You can also do movements like arm circles that are more what we call dynamic stretching. So you're still moving through joints, full range of motion, and that's loosening things up. If you feel discomfort, try to back off of the stretch a little bit and then breathe through it, and just take your time with it. Things should feel like you're a gentle pull, but no pain, no bouncing, nothing that's a little more intense. And try to do these stretches after your body is already warm. So if you've been walking around or doing some exercise, warming up those muscles, that's the better time to stretch than when their muscles are cold. Balance exercises are not things we often think about, but they're important to incorporate. And if you want to kind of check your balance and see how you are doing today. Just make sure you're in a place where there's room to move, there's not furniture or things on the floor that you can trip over. But different balance exercises, walking backwards or walking sideways, doing that heel to toe. So imagine that you were trying to walk on a balance beam on the floor and just trying to stay on that one line. Something I do while I'm cooking dinner, I will do some balance poses, just standing one leg at a time and just trying to breathe and stay centered. Just standing up from a sitting position without holding on. This is something that we do this all day long. It's important to be able to go from sit to stand, and that can be part of your balance exercises. But the importance of this is it's going to work a lot of your lower body, and it's going to work those core, the muscles in your stomach and your back. And keeping those strong are going to help you stay balanced and supported. So in general, even with doing these specific higher intensity aerobic exercises, doing strength exercises, you want to try to move more all throughout the day. This is going to keep you burning calories, burning sugar, and ultimately make you feel better. So it doesn't matter where you are outside the gym. You can be at work, at home, running errands. There's always a way to be active. If you're at work, try taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Just try to get up and move around at least once every hour, even standing up to take a phone call, or if you can be on a speaker and just march in place or pace around your office, doing certain chair exercises. Nowadays with YouTube, you can Google chair exercises and do lots of different things while you're still taking just short breaks from work. And there is something called a fidget factor. People that just have difficulty sitting still, they're always wiggling their foot, they're always moving a little bit, they truly are burning more calories and more sugar. At home, take that poor dog out for a walk, maybe every morning, every evening, even if it's just a short around the block. It's getting more steps, it's getting more activity. Doing some or all of your yard work, your housework. Playing with the kids. Don't just take them to the park and sit on the bench. Get out there and be active and throw the ball around, throw the frisbee. Something I do a lot in the evening if I'm sitting with the family watching a program, I will get up and walk during commercial breaks. Walk around the house a couple times, march in place just while you're watching TV. I actually tracked my steps one time, and just during a standard 1-hour program, I walked 1 mile. Just doing commercial breaks. So it really does add up. If you've got stairs in your house, take things in multiple trips going up the stairs. It's just as good as a stair climber. Or if you're getting things out of the car, groceries, whatever, just make multiple trips. The more steps you get, the better off you are. And then if you're on the phone, everything's portable now. Walk around the house, go up and down the stairs, and that can get you some good activity. If you're running errands, don't fight for that parking spot up front. Try to park a little bit further away. Maybe take a full lap around the store before you start your shopping. If you're traveling at all over the holidays and you're at the airport waiting for your flight, just walking up and down the terminal can get you some more steps. And if you're on the road, whenever you can take a break and stop every few hours, walk around. Finally, that last healthy habit is visiting your doctor. Diabetes, it's important to realize that it is something that can be managed with your diet, with your exercise, and with your medical management of your medications and your visits. Don't miss your appointments with your doctor. They're generally about every 3 months, but your doctor will tell you if they want to do something different. And then also important to visit with your diabetes educator and your dietitian. That's going to help you stay on track with your lifestyle and your medical management of diabetes. So now we're going to open it up to questions.
All right. I kind of want to start us off with questions. We talked a lot about yogurt in this presentation. I was wondering, are there certain brands that are better for you than others, or are there just certain things you need to look for when buying yogurt?
When you're looking at yogurt, because it does have a food label, it's good to look on the label at the total carbohydrate. and try to find something. If it's a single item, like just one item, one container of yogurt, try to find a yogurt that maybe is no more than 15 or 20 grams of total carbohydrate. That would be what we would consider a normal serving of carbohydrate. If it's a plain yogurt and you want to add it to fruit or cereal or something, so you're going to add additional carbohydrate, you can get some of those yogurts as low as 5 grams of total carbohydrate.
All right.
I'm looking at some of the other questions. One of them is talking about swapping carbs. So when we're looking at maybe like a standard lunch, for instance, you pack a sandwich with fruit or chips, that's a lot of carbohydrate between the bread, the chips, the fruit. So when we think about swapping things, instead of the bread, you can use a lettuce wrap and stuff it with your deli meats or chicken salad or tuna salad, and that would take away some of the carbohydrates, so you could add the fruit or the chips, or maybe in place of the chips doing some raw veggies with dip. So things like that, you can always give something up to be able to include something else. We have a question. We are getting into holiday time, and it involves alcohol. So with alcohol, even though their products are often made from things that are carbohydrates, such as wine is made from grapes, vodka is made from potatoes, alcohol in general does not raise your blood sugar. It's what you mix with it. So if you're going to drink alcohol, it goes back to that moderation and portion control. The standard recommendations are 1 beverage a day for women, 2 standard beverages a day for men, and with diabetes and different medications, it's important to try to consume these beverages with a meal, and watch what you're adding to it as far as mixers. Don't add juices and soda. Do things that are sugar-free. From a sugar standpoint, is whole milk 2%, skim milk, what's the better option? Actually, the sugar content in milk does not change. What those different types of milk, it's the fat content that's different. So you're going to get equal amounts of sugar no matter which one you drink. So it's important just to portion it out if it's something that you want. A cup of milk, whether it's whole milk 2% or skim milk, is still going to be 1 serving of carbohydrate. We have a question about processed meats. So when things are processed, there's going to be added fats, potentially other preservatives and chemicals and salt in those foods. But if you pay a little more attention in the grocery store, look around at some different brands, or talk to the deli, there's a lot of options now where they're going to be lower in sodium. They're nitrate-free, hot dogs, for instance, and deli meats. And so there's definitely some cleaner, more natural options available in the store, but you've got to look and find those brands.
I have a question kind of based off of that one. Do you have any tips for people that are vegans or vegetarians and can't fit that much more protein in their diet? Or what can they do?
So for the vegetarian or the vegan that's not having any animal protein, those vegetarian sources, the beans and the tofu and lentils, those do contain protein and carbohydrate. What happens a lot of times, though, is the other grains, the rice and the pasta and the breads, those are left without having good balance. And so if people can incorporate a lot of vegetable, which does have protein, and a lot of those vegetable proteins, and then just minimize the fruit or the true grains, make those take a back seat, it's still a better balance. And then they should still be able to maintain good blood sugars.
Okay.
Is agave or honey a better option? They're actually all sugar. So it's a portion. Basically, if you can do without these sweeteners, do without. And if you're going to use one, I would say whichever one you use, keep it to 1 teaspoon or less. And same goes for the raw sugar versus the refined sugar. These are all sugars. There's no difference between them as far as how your body's going to utilize them. There's a question about breakfast bar options. So when we get into those snack bars, again, it's going back to the label. Most of your snack bars are going to run appropriate carbohydrates. They're generally around 15 or 20 grams of carbohydrate, which is considered a serving. The difference is in the protein. They can be as low as 1 or 2 grams or all the way as high as 20 grams. You want to try to get something close to double digits. 20 grams of protein might be a strange texture or flavor. 1 or 2 grams of protein is not enough. So finding a bar that's 7 to 10 grams of protein would be better.
I think we have time for one more.
Back to the yogurt question again. Greek yogurt is definitely okay as a protein source as long as it's the lower carbohydrate, 5 or 6 grams of total carbohydrate if you're using it strictly as protein. If you're going to have it as a snack and not add anything to it, then you can go with something a little bit higher, 15 or 20 grams.
All right, and that is all the time we have for questions today. So that is going to conclude our webinar. We hope the information you learned today was helpful and you'll be able to use it. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Rhonda, for doing such a great job. And thank you to all of us for joining us this month. Be sure to join us for our next webinar on December the 7th. Look your holiday best, 5 ways to have a fresh face this season with dermatologist Dr. Lana Hawayak. And be sure to follow us on social media and join in on the conversation. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all next month.